So, Finnegans Wake, episode one, actually, book one, episode, I think it's 7 now, or is it 8? 8. I should remember. I think it's 8. Oh, tell me all about Aunt Olivia. I want to hear all about Aunt Olivia. Well, do you know Aunt Olivia? Yes, of course, we all know Aunt Olivia. Tell me all. Tell me now, or you'll die when you hear. Well, you know when the old chip went foot and did what you know. Yes, I know. Go on. Wash, quit, and don't be dabbling. Tuck up your sleeves and loosen your talk tapes and don't butt me hike when you bend. Or whatever it was they tried to make out he tried to do in the fiendish park. He's an awful old rep. Look at the shirt of him. Look at the dirt of it. He has all my water black on me, and it's steeping and stooping since this time last wick. How many goes is it, I wonder, I washed it? I know by heart the places he likes to sail, the dirty devil, scorching my hand and starving my famine to make his private linen public. Wallop it well with your battle and clean it. My wrists are rusty rubbing the mold-off stains, and the neepers of wet and the gangers of sin in it. What was he did it tell at all on animal sendai? And how long was he under lock and nay? It was put in the news as what he did, Nices and Priors, the king, fiercest Humphrey, with Ilias's distilling, exploits and all. But Tom's will tell, I know he well. Temp untamed will hist for no man. As you spring, so shall you neep. Oh, the rotty old rap, minxing marriage and making loof. Reeve Gooch was right, and Reeve Druid was sinistrous. And the cut of him, and the strut of him, how he used to hold his head as high as a house, the famous old Duke Alien, with a hump of grandeur on him like a walking weasel rat, and his dairy's own drawl, and his Cork's own blather, and his doubling stutter, and his Galloway swank. Ask Lictor Hackett, or Lector Reed of Garda Growley, or the boy with the billy club. How elster is he a called at all? Capel? Huge caput early fowler. Or where was he born, or how was he found? Urgoth land, Twist town on the Cattegat, New Hampshire, Concord on the Merrimack? Who blocksmith her saft anvil, or yelled lep to her pail? Was her bands never loosened in Adam and Eve's, or were him and her but captain spliced? For mine, either duck, I thee drake, and by the wild gaze I thee gander. Flowy and mount on the brink of time makes wishes and fears for a happy isthmus. She can show all her lines with love, licensed to play, and if they don't remarry, that hook and eye may. Oh, pass more to that, and Oxus another. Don Dum 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 and his wee folly-o. Was his help insured in the Stork and Pelican against bunglers, flu and third risk parties? I heard he dug good tin with his doll, Delvin first and Dublin after, when he raped her home, Sabrina Store, in a parakeet's cage, by dredgerous lands and devious delts, playing catched and myth with the gleam of her shadow. If a flack had been there to pop up and pepper him, past old man's manse and maison au fou and the rest of incurables and the last of immurables, the quaggy wag for stumbling. Who sold you that jack-o'-lantern's tail? Pemmican's pasty pie, not a grass hoop to ringer, not an ant's grain of ore. In a gabbard he barked it, the boat of life, from the harborless Ivernican Ocean, till he spied the loom of his landfall, and he loosed 2 croakers from under his tilt, the grand Phoenician rover. By the smell of her kelp they made the pigeon house. Like fun they did, but where was himself, the time and ear, that marchant man, He swivvied their scutties right over the wash, his camelier's burnous breezing up on him, till with his renegade bombpress he rode and burst her bar. Pilcomayo, such Cottawan, and the whales away with the grayling. Tune your pipes and fall a humming, you born Egypt, and you're nothing short of one. Well, tell me soon, and curb your escumo. When they saw him shoot swift up her shabed sheath like any gay Lord Salomon, her bowls they were roaring, surfed with spree. Boyarka boa, Boyana boa, he earned his little Bunbath hard, our staely bred, the traitor. He did. Look at here, in this wet of his prow. Don't you know he was called the bairn of the brine, Wasterborn, the water baby? Ave Maria, so he was. HCE has a codfisk E. Sure, she's nearly as bad as him herself. Who? Anne Olivia? Aye, Anne Olivia. Do you know she was calling back bandits sails from all around Yumbanu, Chambachu, to go in till him, her erring chief, and tickle the pontiff aisy oisy. She was. Got a pot. This'll that the limit. As El Negro winced when he wanced in La Platte. Oh, tell me, I want to hear how loft she was lift a laddery dextro. A coney wink after the bunting fell, letting on she didn't care. Sina feza, me absentee, him man in possession, the proxenete. Proxenete, and what is that? M40 Russishire Hondu Yarkin. Tell us in Franca Langua, and call a spade a spade. Did they never shave your abro at school, you anti-Becadarian? It's just the same as if I was to go par exemplum now in Conservancy's cause out of telekinesis and proxenete you. For quike's sake, and is that what she is? But little I thought she'd act that low. Didn't you spot her in her window, wobbling up on the osier chair with the music before her, all cuneiform letters, pretending to ribble a reedy dirge on a fiddle she bogans without a band on? Sure she can't fidden a dee with a bow or a band on. Sure she can't. Just a suck. Well, I never now heard the like of that. Tell me more. Tell me most. Well, old Humbert was as glummin as Grampus, with the tears of his Thor and the buboes for ages, and neither bowman nor shot abroad, and bales all brant on the crest of Rockies, and ne'er a lamp in kitchen or church, and giants' holes in Grafton's causeway, and death-cap mushrooms round Fungless grave, and the great tribune's barrow, all Darnell's accumule, sitting sambre on his set, dramin and dramin, husking quasi-quizzers of his rueful countenance, his child linen scarf to encourage his obsequies, where he checked their depths in that Mormon's Thames, bequesting an Ansel, hop step and a deep end with his bursts in their toiling moil, his swallower open from swelf to fore, and the snipes of the gutter pecking his crocks, hunger striking all alone, and holding doomsday over himself, dreeing his weird, with his dander up, and his fringe combed over his eyes, and droming on loft till the sight of the sterns, after swarthy cows and weedy brooks, and the tits of Buddy and the lights of Pest, and to peer was perish worth that mess. You'd think all was Dodo belonging to him, how he durned the drance in Durance Vale. He had been belching for 7 years, and there she was, Anne Olivia. She daren't catch a winkle of sleep, whirling around like a chit of a child, Wenda Wanda, a finger thick, in a lap summer skirt and damazon cheeks. For to Isham, bonjour, to hear Dubber Dan, with new fraties and salt from his Magius. And an odd time she'd cook him up blooms of fisk, and lay to his heart's foot her meddery eyes, yais and Stanish bacons on toast, and a cup and have so wishy-washy of Greenland's tay, or a zoop can of kafu moku, en sable, or sikyang sukri, or his ale of ferns and truant pewter, and a shinka bread, ham jambo, banana, for to plaise that man, ug stay his stomacher till her pirakees shrunk to nutmeg graters. Well, her toggle joints shook with goit, and as rash as she'd rush with her peak load of vivers up on her sieve, Medawero rage it swales and rises. My hearty heck, he'd cast them from him with a store of scorn, as much as to say, you sow and you sows. And if he didn't peg the plateau on her taw, believe you me, she was safe enough. And then she'd ask to vistula him, the heart bowed down, or the rakes of mallow, or Chelly McKelly's La Calumnia e un Vermicelli, or a balfy bit of old Joe Robinson. Such fuffing of fifing, 'twould cut you in two. She'd bait the hen that crowed on the tourists of Babel. What harm if she know how to cockle her mouth? And not a mag out of hum, no more than out of the mangle weight. Is that a faith? That's the fact. Then riding the Ricca and Royal Romance, and Nona Gabroran, aristocrat Nivea, doctor of sense and art, with sparks pure flickathems funkling her fan, and her frostifying tresses dashed with fireflies, while the prom beauties shrieked with their bare skins. In a period gown of changeable jade that would robe the wood of two cardinals' chairs, and crush poor Cullen and smother McCabe. Oh, play their skate, there's pork patches, and broming to him down the feed chute with her Fantix finds of fondling endings, the poother rambling off her nose. Vuggy Barney, Wickery Mandy. Hello, Ducky. Please don't die. Do you know what you started cheaping after with a choicey voicey like Waterglux or Madame Delba to Romeorsk? You'll never guess. Tell me, tell me. Phoebe, dearest, tell, oh, tell me. And I loved you better nor you knew. And letting on, hoon var daft about the warbly sangs from over Holman. High Helskirt saw ladies hen smoker lily hung pigger, and so on and so forth in a tone sonora, and boher below like Berry in his sandy cloak, some umbelozy as deaf as a yawn, the stult. Go away, poor default dearie, y'are only teasing. Anna live, as chalk as my judge. And didn't she up in sorgs and go on trot doon and stand in her dooro, puffing her old dean, and every servant, silly girl or wenson farmerat walking the Pyland roads, saw ye Fundally dairy or Mary, Millicra Awny or Graw, usen she make her a simp or sign to slip inside by the Sully port. You don't say, the silly post? Bedooks, but I do. Calling them in, one by one. 2 block bed'em here the shoe bin a caddy, and legging a jig or so on the sill to show them how to shake their benders, and the dainty how to bring to mind the gladdest garments out of sight, and all the way of a maid with a man, and making a sort of a cackling noise like 2 and a penny or half a crown, and holding up a silver shiner. Lordy, lordy, did she so? Well, of all the ones ever I heard. Throwing all the nice little whores in the world at him. To any captured wench you wish, of no matter what sex of pleaseful ways, 2 at a tamer, a Lizzie a Lossie, to hug and have haven in Humpy's apron. And what was the rhyma she made? Oh, dead, tell me the trent of it while I'm lathering hail out of Dennis Florence McCarthy's combies. Rise it, Fletchy, pianna. I'm dying down off my iodine feet till I learn Anne Olivia's Cushing glue. That was writ by 1 and read by 2 and tooved by a pool in the Porco. I can see that. I see you are. How does it tumble? Listen now, are you listening? Yes, indeed I am. Turn your oar out. S-N-A-N-A. By earth and the cloudy, but I badly want a brand new bankside to be damp and I do, and a plumper at that. For the putty affair I have is wore out, so it is, sitting yaping and waiting for my old Dane hotter daughterer, my life and death companion, my frugal key of our larder, my much altered camel's hump, my joint spoiler, my May moon's honey, my fool to the last Decemberer, to wake himself out of his winter's doze and bore me down like he used to. Is there well a lord of the manor or a knight of the shire at strike, I wonder, that'd dip me a dace or two in cash for washing and darning his worshipful socks for him, now we're run out of horse brose and milk? Only for my short British bed made's as snug as it smells, it's out I'd lep and off with me to the slobs de la Tolka, or the plage on Clontarf, to feel the gay air of my salt Troublin Bay, and the race of my say wind up me embouchure. On, on, tell me more. Tell me every tiny tine. I want to know every single ingle, down to what made the potters fly into Jagstall, and why were the vessels vet. That home of fever's winning me wome. If a man of the horse but hard me, we'd be bundu quiboy meet Ascaragal. Well, now comes the hazel hatchery part. After Clondalkin, the King's Inns. We'll soon be there with the freshet. How many alevins had she in Toul? I can't rightly read you that. Close only knows. Some say she had 3 figures to fill and confined herself to 111, one by one by one, making Minicumminamoyas, all a flamette, all that pack. We won't have room in the kirkyard. She can't remember half of the cradle names she smacked on them by the grace of her boxing bishop's infallible slipper, the Cain for Kund and Abel's for Iolf, and either neither for Yaakov Yea. 100 and how? They did will to rechristen her Plurabel. Oh, Lorley, what a lottie and loads. Hi ho, but it's quite on the card. She'll shed more and merrier, twills and trills, spare 4s and spoil 5s, Nord 6 and sud 7s, and eyes and 9s to a litter. Grand farthering, nap, and mess of misery, and the knave of all knaves, and the joker. Hee-haw! She must have been a gadabout in her day, so she more than most. Sure she was, good gad. She had a flumen of her own. Then a toss ne'er scared that lass. So I'm a mo, that's a agapo. Tell me, how come she camlin through all her fellows, the nicker she was, the diveline, casting her perils before our swains, from Fontainmont to Tidingtown, and from Tidingtown till Habit, linking one and knocking the next, tapping a flank and tipting a jutty, and paling in and pitering out, and gliding by on her east way? Why, oh, was I first there ever burst? Someone he was, Hubra they were, in a tactic attack or in single combat. Tinker, tailor, soldier, sailor, pieman, piece, or policeman, that's the thing I'm always on edge to ask. Push up and push harder and come to uphill headquarters. Was it Waterloo's year after Grattan or flood, or when maids were in ark, or when 3 stood hosting? Fidaris will find where the doubt arises, like Naiman from Nurgens found the Nile. Were ye Sion foe? Alburn, no answer. Untie the gemmen's fistinats. Quick, and Nuancy, she can't put her hand on him for the moment. 'Tis Stellan Langlo, walking weary, such a loon way bashwards to row. She said herself she hardly knows who in the annals her graveler was, a dynast of Leinster, a wolf of the sea, or what he did, or how blithe she played, or how, when, why, where, and who often he jumped at her, and how it was gave her away. She was just a young, thin, pale, soft, shy, slim slip of a thing then, sauntering by Silva Moon Lake, and he was a heavy, trudging, lurching lie-abroad of a curragh man, making his hay for whose sun to shine on, as tough as the oak trees, peace be with him, used to rustle that time down by the dikes of Killing Kildare, for Faust fell Faust with a plash across her. She thought she sank 'neath the ground with nymphant shame when he gave her the tigress eye. Oh, happy fault! Me wish it was he. You're wrong there, horribly wrong. 'Tisn't only tonight you're anachronistic. It was ages behind that when nullas were nowhere in County Wickenlow, Garden of Erin, before she ever dreamt she'd leave Kelbride and go foaming under Horsepass Bridge with the great southwestern wind storming her traces and the Midlands grain waster a search for her track, to wend her ways by and by, Rebecca or worse, to spin and to grind, to swab and to thrash, for all her golden lifey in the barley fields and penny lots of Humphreys, Ford of Hurdlestown, and lie with a landleper, Wellington Orser. Alas, the Lagos of girly days, for the dove of the Dunas. Was it? Is it? Are you sartin, sir? Not where the Finn fits into the morn, not where the Nor takes leave of bloom, not where the Bray devarts the fair, not where the Moy changes her minds twixt Cullen and Con, tween Cun and Colin, or where Neptune sculled and Tritonville rode, and Leandro's three bumped heroines too. Nay, Narev, nay, noni knows. Then whereabouts in Au and Avoca? Was it Istwith Wist, or Lucan Yoken, or where the land of man has never set foot? Tell me where the very first time. I will if you listen. You know the Dinkledale of Luglaw? Well, there once dwelt a local Haramite, Michael Arklow was his reverend name, with many a sigh as burst his lavabibs. And one Venner's day in June or July, oh, so sweet and so cool and so limber she looked, Nance the Nixie, Nanon Lescaut, in the silence of the sycamores, all listening, the kindling curves you simply can't stop feeling. He plunged both of his newly anointed hands, the core of his cushlas in her singamarie, saffron strummins of hair, parting them and soothing her and mingling it. That was deep dark and ample like this red bog at sundown. By that veil Vauclose's Lucidac, the rainbow's heaven arcs wronged oranged her, aphrodisian galbs her enameled eyes undergoading him on to the verge violation. Wish a wish. Why, Mavro, Letty Luck's laughing light throw those laurels now on her daft tea-song Petrock. Mass. But the magic Wavus has elfin anon meshes, and Sinba the slayer of his Oga is slewed. He could not help himself, for so that hot on him. He had to forget the monk and the man, so rubbing her up and smoothing her down, he bathed his lips in smiling mood, a kiss after kiss o' cushk, as he warned her never to, never, on Anna Pogues of the freckled forehead. Well, you'd parse such a ressa she hild her soof, but she rose 2 feet higher in her Aisna estimation, and steps on stilts ever since. That was Kiswa healing with Bantur for balm. Oh, wasn't he the bold priest? And wasn't she the naughty Livy? Nautic Nama's now her Navin. 2 lads in Scouch breeches went through her before that, Barefoot Burn and Wallamy Wade. Lugnaquilia's noblesse picts, for she had a hint of a hair at her fanny to hide, or a bosom to tempt a birch canoodler, not to mention a bulgic porterhouse barge. And ere that again, lad allayed all unready, too faint to buoy the fairiest rider, too frail to flirt with a cygnet's plume, she was licked by a hound, chiruppa chirutta, while pawing her pea, pure and simple, on the spur of the hill in old Kippur, in bird song and shearing time. But first of all, worst of all, the wiggly lively, she side-slipped out by a gap in the Devil's Glen, while Sally, her nurse, was sound asleep in a sloot, and fee-fi, fell over a spillway before she found her stride, and lay and wriggled in all the stagnant black pools of rainy under a fallow coo, and she laughed in a so free with her limbs aloft, and a whole drove of maiden hawthorns blushing and looking askance upon her. Drop me the sound of the Findhorn's name. Two or tease some bugger was wisness, and drip me wine the Flinders was she frickled, and trickle me through was she marcel waved, or was it weirdly a wig she wore? And which side they droop their glows in their flory, a back to whist or a front to see? In fear to hear the deer so near, or longing loth and loathing longing. Are you in the swim or are you out? Oh, go in, go on, go on. I mean about what you know. I know right well what you mean. Rather, you'd like the coughs and gimps snouty and me to do the greasy tub on old Veronica's wipers. What am I rancing now, and I'll thank you? Is it a penny, or is it a surplus? Aaron, where's your nose, and where's the starch? That's not the Vestra benediction smell. I can tell from here by their eau de cologne and the scent of her odor, they're Mrs. McGrath, and you ought to have aired them. They've moist come off her. Creases and silk they are, not cramped and lawn. Baptiste me father, for she has sinned. Through her catchment ring she freed them easy, with her hips hurrahs, for her knees don't tell her ease. The only par with frills in all the plain, so they are, I declare. Well and well. If tomorrow keeps fine, who'll come tripping to sight see? How? Ask me next what I haven't got. The Belvederian exhibitioners, in their cruisery caps and oars club colors, what hoo, they bend, and what ho, they buck. And here is her nubily letters, too. Ellis on K in scarlet thread, linked for the world on a flush-colored field, and an X after, to show they're not Laura Keown's. Oh, may the Diablo twist your safety pin, you child of Mammon. Kinsella's Lilith. Now, who has been tearing the leg of her drawers on her? Which leg is it? The one with the bells on it. Rinse them out and aston along with you. Where did I stop? Never stop. Continue oration. You're not there yet. I'm still waiting. Go on. Go on. Well, after it was put in the Mercy Cordial Mendicant Sitterday Sunday Monaday Wake Shrift, for once they cellared their white kidloves, chewing cuds after their dinners of chicken and bacon, with their show us it here and their mind out at that, and their when you're quite finished with the reading material. Even the snee that snowed on his hoarding hair had a scunner against him. Ta, sava, savuto, score her chuff esquire. Everywhere, if you went, and every bung you ever dropped into in cit or suburb or in idle areas, the Rose and Bottle or Phoenix Tavern or Powers Inn or Jude's Hotel or wherever you scoured the countryside from Nanny Water to Vartryville or from Porter Latine to the Luton Quarter, you found his icon etched tip-side down, or the corner boys cammocking his guy and Morris the man with the roll of a Royce in his Turgos the Turrible. European shake house, unskimmed suet, and you hurt, Hammond now cheek me, Adam this way make, Fatima half turn, reeling and railing round the local, as the peos piped and the banjees twanged, with Oddfellow's triple tiara buzzed by rotunda rinking round his scalp, like Pate by the Neva or Pete over Mere. This is the houseman all paven and stone, that cribbed the cabin that never was owned, that cocked his leg and henned his egg, and the mauldern rabble round him an Areopage, practicing a great Bincan Cagnan with their timpan crowlters. Mind your grim father, think of your ma. Hing the Hong is his Jove's hangnomen. Lilta bolera bulling a law, she swore on cross sticks 9 windabouts she'd be level with all the snags of them yet. Par the vulnerable virgins Mary del Dam. So she said to herself, she'd frame a plan to fake a shine, the mischief maker. The like of it you never heard. What plan? Tell me quick, and don't go so cruel. What the murther did she make? Well, she burred into Zack bag a chamois mail sack, with the lend of alone of the light of his lampion, off one of her swap sons, Sean the post, and then she went and consulted her chapbooks, old Montmore, Casey's Euclid, and the fashion display, and made herself title to join in the masquerade. Oh, giggle of giggles, I can't tell you how. It's too screaming to Rizzo rabbit it all. Minnie ha, minnie he, minnie hey, minnie ho. Oh, but you must really make my hear it gurgle, gurgle like the fairest gargle, gargle in the dusky durgle, dargle. By the holy well of mulled Haddat, I swear I'd pledge my chance of getting to heaven through Tiri and Killy's mount of impiety to hear it all. Every word. Oh, leave me my faculties, woman, a while. If you don't like my story, get out of the punt. Well, have it your own way, so. Here, sit down and do as you're bid. Take my stroke and bend to your bow. Forward in and pull your over the poise. Lisp it slaney and crisp it quiet. Deal me longsome. Tongue your time now. Breathe that deep. Thou't's the fair way. Hurry slow and shalt you go. Lend us your blessed ashes here till I scrub the cannon's underpants. Flow now, or more, and pooly pooly. First, she let her hair fall, and down it flussed to her feet, its Teviot's winding coils. Then, mother naked, she shampooed herself with gala water and fragrant pistania mud, whopper and lower, from crown to sole. Next, she greased the groove of her keel, warts and wares and mole and itcher, with anti-fouling butterscotch and turpentine and serpentine, and with leaf mold she ushered round prunella aisles and eslets done, quince cunked all over her little Mary, peeled gold of waxwork her jelly belly, and her grains of incense anguil bronze. And after that she wove a garland for her hair. She plaited it of meadowgrass and river flags, the bulrush and waterweed, and of fallen griefs of weeping willow. Then she made her bracelets and her anklets and her armlets, and a jetty amulet for necklace of clicking cobbles and pattering pebbles and rumble down rubble, Richmond and rare, of Irish runner Reiner stones and shell marble bangles. That done, a dock of smut to her airy eye, Anushka Luteyevich Puflova, and the Lillipos cream to her lipolines, and the pick of the paint box for her pommettes, from strawberry reds to extra violates, and she centered her boudoir maids to his affluence, Ciliega Grande and Kirshy Real, the two Cursines, with respects from his missus, Sepie and Soury, and a request might she pass of him for a minikin, a call to pay and light a taper in Brianna Rosa back in a sprisling, the cock striking mine, the stall's bridely sign, there's somebody waiting for me. She said she wouldn't be half her length away. Then, as soon as the lump his back was turned, with her mealy bag slang over her shoulder, Anne Olivia, oyster face, forth of her basin came. Describe her. Hustle along, why can't you? Spits on the urn when it's hot. I wouldn't miss her for earthing on earth. Not for the lucre of Lombard Street, oceans of God, I must'll hear that. Oh, go, priest, lest, before Julius Caesar, Ishkari and Washer Mescad, the Karishi Karatamani, whole lady fair, duo decimorum, Bonaventura, Malagasy, what had she on, the little old doddity? How much did she scallop? Harness and weights. Here she is, Amnesty Ann. Call her Calamity, electrifies man. No electress at all, but old Mappa Necessity, Angan mother of Injuns. I'll tell you a test, but you must still. Will you hold your peace and listen well to what I'm going to say now? Might have been 10 or 20 to 1 of the night of all close, or the next of April, when the flip of her hoogly igloo flappered, and out toe-tipped a bushman woman, the dearest little mamma ever you saw, nodding around her, all smiles with M's of embarrass and O's to awe, between two ages, a Judy queen, not up to your elb. Quick, look at her cute and sace her quirk, for the bicker she lives, the slicker she grows. Save us and take us. No more? Where on earth did you ever pick a lambe chop as big as a battering ram? Aye, you're right. I'm up to forgetting. Like Livium Little did love me long. The length of my hoch, I say. She wore a ploughboy's nail-studded clogs, a pair of plough fields in themselves, a sugarloaf hat with a gaudy, quivery peak, and a band of gorse for an ornament, and 100 streamers dancing off it, and a gilded pin to pierce it. All glassy bicycles boggled her eyes, and fishnuts veil for the sun not to spoil the wrinklings of her Ida specs. Potato totings buckled the loose lobes of her loud snarers. Her nude Cuba stockings were samite speckled. She sported a Gallego shimmy of haze vapor tinto that never was fast till it ran in the washing. Stout stays, the rivals, lined her length. Her blood orange bachknickers, a two-in-one garment, showed natural knickerbockers, fancy fastened, free to undo. Her black striped tan Joseph was sequin sewn and teddy bear lined, with wavy rush green epaulets and a let down here and there of royal swan stuff. A brace of gaspers stuck in her hay rope garters. Her civic corduroy coat with alphabet buttons was boundaried round with a 2-bar tunnel belt. A 4-penny bit in each pocket side weighed her safe from the blow-away windrush. She had a clothes peg tight astride on her yoki's nose, and she kept on grinding a something quaint in her fumy mouth, and the reek of the fluve of the tail of the gowan of her snuff-drab solar skirt trailed 50-odd Irish miles behind her lungarodes. Hell's bells, I'm sorry I missed her. Sweet gumptium, and nobody fainted. But in whelk of her mouths, was her nasalite? Everyone that saw her said the douse little Della looked a bit queer. Lotsy trotsy, mind the pottle. Mrs. Be good, and don't fall in the say. If any poor hex she must have charmed. Kick'em's a trumpier ever you saw, making mush mullet's eyes at her boys, Dobelun. And they crowned her their Cheriton queen, all the maids. Of the maid? You don't say. Well, for her, she couldn't see herself. I reckon it's wherefore the darling murrayed her mirror. She did. Mercy me. There was a chorus of drought-dropping surfacemen, boom-slanging and plug-chewing, fruit-eyeing and flower-feeding in contemplation of the fluctuation and the undification of her filamentation, lolling and leasing on North Laser's wall, all Eelfair week by the Yucker Yoiks. And as soon as they saw her meander by that maritime way in her grass winter's weeds, and twigged who was under her archdeaconess bonnet, Avendile's fish and Clarence's poisson, sedges on to an Eber, wit upon crutches to Master Bates. Between our two south sates and the granite, they're warming, or her face has been lifted, or Alp has doped. But what was the game in her mixed beggar Hattie? Just the tembo and her tumbo, or pilly from her pepper pot? Says and tays and species bezays, and where in thunder did she plunder? For the battle or after the ball? I want to get at frisk from this source. I abut my beer bit's worth well poaching on. Shake it up, do. That's a good old son of a ditch. I promise I'll make it worth your while. And I don't mean maybe. Not yet with a good for. Spay me pruth, and I'll tell you true. Well, around I runned in a grave waveny line, a ring aroma, she pattered and swung and sidled, dribbling her boulder through narrow mosses, the dillicky drear on our drier side, and the wild vetchvine agin us, Carrara here, Carrero there, not knowing which medway or wesser to strike it, either rider, making Chattahoochee all to her ain chichu, like Santa Claus at the Cree of the Pale, and puny, nistling to hear for their tiny hearties, her arms encircling Isola Bella, then running with reconciled Romas and Reims, on like a lech to be off like a dart, then bathing dirty hand spatters with spittle, with a Christmas box apiece for each and every one of her childer, the birthday gifts they dreamt they gave her, the spoiled she fleetly laid at our door. On the mat, by the porch, and in under the cellar, the rivulets ran a flood to sea, the Glacia boys, the Polynutes, out of the pawnshop on to the pyre. And they all about her, juvenile leads and ingenuinas from the slime of their slums and artisaned wailings, rickets and riots, like the smiley boys at their vice-reigns levee. Vivi, viens, little Anchan, Viello Anna, high life, sing us a sula, O Susuria. Os Juan Sedulcis, hasn't she timbre? Chipping her and raising a bit of a cheer, or a jerry every dive she'd neb in her cul-de-saco of wabash she rabbed, and reach out her mondi merchandise, poor souvenir, as pair record her in all four sore a ring-a-rung, stinkers and healers, laggards and prime lads, her firstborn sons and dribblederry daughters, 1,001 of them, and wicker potluck for each of them, for evil and ever, and kicks the book, a tinker's ban and a barrow to boil his billy for Gypsy Lee, a cartridge of cockaliki soup for Chummy the guardsman, for Sulky Pender's acid nephew deltoid drops curiously strong, a cough and a rattle, and a wild rose cheeks for poor Piccolina Petite McFarlane, a jigsaw puzzle of needles and pins and blankets and shins between them for Isabel Jezebel and Llewellyn marriage, a brazen nose, and pig iron mittens for Johnny Walker Begg, a papper flag of the saints and stripes for Kibanine O'Day, a puff puff for Pudge Craig, and a night marching hare for Chester Tim Tom Bigby, water leg and gumboots each for Bully Hayes and Hurricane Hardigan, a prodigal heart and fatted calves for Buck Jones, the pride of Clonliffe, a loaf of bread and a father's early aim for Val from Skibbereen, a jaunting car for Larry Doolin, the Ballyclede Jackeen, a seasick trip on a government ship for Teague O'Flanagan, a louse and trap for Jerry Coyle, slush mince pies for Andy Mackenzie, a hair clip and clackdish for Penciless Peter, that 12 sounds look for G.V. Brooke, a drowned doll to face downwards for modest sister Ann Mortimer, altar falls for Blanchise's bed, wild airs breechettes for Mag Peg Wappington, to Sue Dot, a big eye, to Sam Dash, a false step, snakes and clover picked and scotched, and a Vatican viper catcher's visa for Patsy Presby's, a rise every morning for Standfast Dick, and a drop every minute for Stumblestone Davy. Scrub oak beads for Beatified Biddy, 2 apple tweed stools for Eva Mobley, for Sarah Philpott, a Jordan Vale tea run, a pretty box of Petty Fibs powder for Eileen Aruna to whiten her teeth, and outflash Helen Arhone. A whipping top for Eddie Lawless, for Kitty Coleraine of Butterman's Lane, a Pennywise for her foolish pitcher, a putty shovel for Terry the Pecan, an Epotamus mask for a Promoter Dunn, an Easter egg with a twice-dated shell and a dynamite right for Paul the curate, a cholera morbus for Man in the Cloak, a Star and Girton for Draper and Dane, for Will-o'-the-Wisp and Barney the Bark, 2 mangolds noble to sweeten their bitters, for Oliver bound away in his fray, for Seamus, thought little, a crown he feels big, a Tibertine's pile with a Congo's wood cross on the back for Sonny Twim Jim, a praises be and spare me days for Brian the Bravo, plenty of pity, with Luba lashings of lust for alone Elena Magdalena, for Camilla, Dromilla, Ludmilla, Mamilla, a bucket, a packet, a book, and a pillow, for Nancy Shannon or Toomey Brook, for Dora Raparia Hope and Water, a cooling douche, and a warning pan, a pair of Blarney Braggs for Wally Mayer, a hairpin, slate pencil for Elsie Oram to scratch her Toby, doing her best with her vulgar fractions, an old age pension for Betty Beletza, a bag of the blues for Funny Fitz, A missa promessa for Taff to Taff, Jill, the spoon of a girl, for Jack, the broth of a boy. A Rogerson Crusoe's Friday fast for Catechus Angelus Rubik Constein, 366 Poplantine for every warp in the Weaver's Woof for Victor Huguenot, a stiff-steaded rake and good Varian's muck for Kate the Cleaner, a hole in the ballad for Hosty, 24 of cradles for JFXP Coppinger, £10 10 on the pop for the Dolphins born with 5 spoiled squibs for Infanta, a letter to last a lifetime for Maggie beyond the ash pit, the haftiest frozen meat woman from Lusk to Livenbad for Phelim the Fairy, spas and speranza and symposium syrup for decayed and blind and gouty Gow, a change of knaves and joys of ills for Armoricus Tristram Amor St. Lawrence, a guillotine shirt for Reuben Redbreast, and hempen suspendats for Brendan on the Moor, an oaken knee for Conditor Sawyer, and musquota boats for Great Tropical Scott, a C3 peduncle for Carmelite Kane, a sunless map of the months, including the sword and stamps for Seamus O'Shawn the Post, a jackal with hide for Brown but Nolan, a stone-cold shoulder for Don Joe Vance, all lock and no stable for Honor Bright Mary Tricks, a big drum for Billy Dunboyne, a guilty goldeny bellows, below me for Ida Ida, and a hushaby rocker, Ella Truvtu for Who is Sylvia or Where is she? Whatever you like to swilly to swash, Yennis or Yennesy, Logan or Niger, for Festus King or Roaring Peter, and Frisky Shorty and Treacle Tom, and Obie Bean and Sully the Tug and Master McGrath and Peter Clorden, and Delaware Rossa, and Neroni McPeasum, and whoever you chance to meet knocking around, and a pig's bladder balloon for Selina Susquehanna Stakelum. But what did she give to Pruda Ward and Cathy Cannell and Peggy Quilty and Briary Brosna and Teasy Kieran and Anna Lappin and Muriel Massey and Susan Kamek and Melissa Bradog and Flora Ferns and Fauna Fox Goodman and Gretna Greeny and Penelope Inglesant and Lesba Licking like Latha Leon and Roxana Rowan with Simpatica Soan and Una Bina Laterza and Trina Lemesme and Philomena O'Farrell and Ermic Ellie and Josephine Foyle and Snake's Head Lily and Fountain-Eyed Loira and Moira, Xavier, Agnes, Daisy, Frances de Sales McClay. She gave them Ilka Madre's daughter, a moonflower and a blood vein. But the grapes that ripe before reason, to them that divide the wine dress. So on Izzy, her shame maid, love shone, befond her tears, as from Shem, her penmite, life past, befoul his prime. My colonial, what a bagful! A bakereen's dozened, with tithe tillies to boot. That's what you may call a tale of a tub. And Hibernonian market, all that and more under one crinoline envelope if you dare to break the pork barrel seal. No wonder they'd run from her prison plague. Throw us your Hudson soap for the honor of Clane. The weed tastes the water left. I'll raft it back first thing in the marn. Mayor, said Mould. Aye, and don't forget the records, I loaned you. You've all the swirls your side of the current. Well, am I to blame for that if I have? Who said you're to blame for that if you have? You're a bit on the sharp side. I'm on the wide. Only Snuffer's comet drifts my way that the cracked divine chucks out of his cassock with her Esther years marsh Narcissus to make him recant his Vanity Fair. Foul strips of his Chinook's Bible I do be reading, Dodwell disgusted, but chickled with chuckles at the tittles is drawn on the title page. Signora Gadito, faccia si homo, homo fufo, ho ho, Signora Gadito, faccia si hidamo, hidamo sega facesa, ha ha, and die Vandermeer Dichter and LeFanu, Sheridan's, Old House by the Coachyard, and Mill, J, on Woman with Ditto on the Floss. Ja, Swamp for Altmuller, and a stone for his flossies. I know how racy they move his wheel. My hands are blow cold between Isker and Suda, like that piece of pattern Cheney there lying below. Where is it? Lying beside the sedge I saw it. Oh, and go, my sorrow, I've lost it. Ah, me, he, with that turbiddy water who could see, so near and yet so far. But oh, Gahan, I love it a gabbard. I could listen to more and more of her again. Rain on the river, flies do your float, thick as the life from here. Well, you know, or don't you ken it, or haven't I told you every telling has a tailing, and that's the he and the she of it. Look, look, the dusk is growing. My branches lofty are taking root, and my cold chair's gone ashly. Feeler? Filoo, what age is it? It's saying as late. 'Tis endless now sin I or ere one last saw Waterhouse's clock. I took it asunder. I heard them sigh. When will they reassemble it? Oh, my back, my back, my bach. I'd want to go to Aix-les-Pins. Ping pong. There's the bell for sexoloites. And Concepta descendus pray. Pang! Ring out the close. Ring in the dew. God, a vary vert the showers, and grant thy grace. Amen. Will we spread them here now? Aye, we will. Flip. Spread on your bank, and I'll spread mine on mine. Flip. That's what I'm doing. Spread. It's churning chill. Der wind is rising. I'll lay a few stones on the hostel sheets, a man and his bride embraced between them. Else I'd have sprinkled and folded them only. And I'll tie my butcher's apron here. It's suety yet. The strollers will pass it by. 6 shifts, 10 kerchiefs, 9 to hold to the fire, and this for the code. The convent napkins, 12, 1 baby's shawl. Good mother, Joseph knows, she said. Whose head? Mother snores? Deitacious. Where now are all her children, say? In kingdom gone, or power to come, or glory be to them farther? Alleluvial, alleluvial. Some here, more no more, more again lost all a stranger. I've heard tell that same brooch of the Shannon was married into a family in Spain, and all the Dunders to Duns and Markland's Vineland beyond Brendan's herring pool takes number 9 in Yangtze's hats. And one of Biddy's beads went bobbing till she rounded up this lost history with a marigold and a cobbler's candle in a side strain of a main drain of a man's in a hurries off Bachelor's Walk. But all that's left to the last of the mayors in the loop of the ears prefixed in between is 1 knee buckle and 2 hooks in the front. D'ye tell me that now? I do in troth. Orara por orbe and por las animas. Usa ulla were umbas all. Mesa, don't you hear the deluge of times over and over respond to spawn? You deed. I need. It's that era waddying I've stuck in my ears. It all but hushes the leaf the swound. Orinoco, what's your trouble? Is that the great Finn leader himself in his joe kimono on his statue riding the high horse there for Engist, father of otters? It is himself. Yon there. Is it that? On Fallerine Common? You're thinking of Astley's amphitheater, where the bobby restrained you making sugar-stuck pouch to the ghost-white horse of the peppers. Throw the cobwebs from your eyes, woman, and spread your washing proper. It's well I know your sort of slop, flap. Ireland sober is Ireland stiff. Lord help you, Maria, full of grace. The load is with me. Your prayers I saw and so. Madam Mangut, where you lifting your elbow, tell us, glazy cheeks in Conway's Carragacora canteen? Was I what, hobbledy hips? Flop. Your rear gates creak o'er, room and bits your butts disagrees. Amped I up since the damp dawn? Marted Mary Alacook, with Corrigan's pulse and varicose veins, my pram axle smashed, Alice Jane in decline, and my one-eyed mongrel twice run over. soaking and bleaching boiler rags and sweating cold. A widow like me, for to deck my tennis champion son, the laundryman with the lavender flannels. You won your Limpopo limp from the husky hussars when collars and cuffs was heir to the town, and your slur gave the stink to Carlo. Holy scamander, I saw it again, near the Golden Falls. It's Hisanus. Saints of light, there! Subdue your noise, you humble creature. What is it but a blackberry growth or the Dwyer grey ass them four old codgers owns? Are you meaning Tarpey and Lyons and Gregory? I may now thank all the four of them, and the roar of them, that draves that stray in the mist, and old Johnny McDougall along with him. Is that the Poolbeg flasher beyant far, or a fireboat coasting nigher the Kishna, or a glow I behold within a hedge, or my Gary come back from the Indies? Wait till the honeying of the tune, love. Die, Eve, little Eve, die. We see that wonder in your eye. We'll meet again, we'll part once more. The spot I'll seek if the hour you'll find. My chart shines high where the blue milk's upset. Forgive me quick, I'm going. Bye-bye. And you, pluck your watch, forget me not. Your even load. So save to journey's end. My sights are swimming thicker on me by the shadows to this place. I so home slowly now by my own way, Moy Valley way. To I too, wrath mine. Ah, but she was the queer old Scioscia anyhow, Aunt Olivia, Twinkle Toes. And sure he was the queer old Bunce too, dear dirty dumpling, foster father of Fingals and Dottergills. Gammer and Gaffer were all their gangsters. Hadn't he 7 dams to wive him? And every dam had her 7 crutches, and every crutch had its 7 hues, and each hue had a differing cry. Suds for me and supper for you, and the doctor's bill for Joe John. Before, he married his markets cheap by foul, I know, like any Etrurian Catholic heathen, in their pinky, limony, creamy burnies, and their Turkish Indian mauves. But at Milked Mass, who was the spouse? Then all that was fair. 'Tis Elvenland, teems of times and happy returns. The same anew. Ordo vico, or vi ricordo. Anna was, Livia is, pluribels to be. Northman's thing made South Folks' place, but how multipluritor made each one in person. Latin me that, my Trinity scholard, out of your Sanskrit into our Aryan. Hercus, Sivus Eblinensis. He had buckoed paps on him, soft ones for orphans. Oh, Lord, twins of his bosom, Lord save us. And ho, hey, what all men? Hot? His tittering daughters of. Walk? Can't hear with the waters of. The chittering waters of. Flittering bats, field mice, balk talk. Ho, are you not gone home? What, Tom alone? Can't hear with balk of bats all them liffying waters of. Oh, talk save us, my foos won't moose. I feel as old as yonder elm. A tale told of Sean or Shem? All Livia's daughter sons, dark harks, hear us. Night, night, my ho head halls, I feel as heavy as yonder stone. Tell me of John or Sean? Who were Shem and Sean the living sons or daughters of? Night now, tell me, tell me, tell me, elm. Night, night, tell me tale of stem or stone, beside the rivering waters of, hither and thithering waters of. Night.